Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Well, today's video is going to be about compact cameras and the possibilities that we might see new ones in 2025. And the reason is that I saw in Petapixel their article and also video on predictions for 2025, and one of those was that the camera manufacturers are going to come out with new compact cameras. So, you'll be able to get more than the Ricoh GR series and the Fujifilm X100 series. That's why I try not to make predictions, because predictions are tough. You really don't know all the factors involved here. So let's just say a camera manufacturer is thinking, yeah, maybe we should come out with a new compact camera. There's some roadblocks here. All of these companies that have been, up till a few years ago, making those cameras have gotten out of the market. And those production lines for those cameras, they're not just sitting idle. They're making other stuff, right? And especially when you have Sony, Canon, Panasonic, even Fujifilm, who make all kinds of electronic stuff. So who knows what they're making on those production lines? So that's a roadblock. Is the current Digicam fad just a fad? Who knows? The film fad seems to be lasting, although film has gotten so freaking expensive that a lot of people are moving to digital because it just costs too darn much. I mean, I went online to look at how much a roll of Fujichrome Velvia 36 exposure roll, used to shoot that a lot, costs $1 a frame. It's like $36 for the film cartridge. That's nuts. And you got to get it developed. That's crazy. So who knows? Maybe the fad will last, maybe it won't. But again, you have to make that prediction of where things are going to go with that. Maybe it won't last. Maybe people will go back to just using their phones or their system cameras or, an Osmo Pocket 3. So who knows? And the other thing, which I mentioned in another video, and don't worry, we're not going into politics here, but the world situation, tariffs. If you are going to come out with a camera that, let's just say, is going to cost just under $1,000, as the prediction on Petapixel said, and then you're going to have a big tariff slapped on that, and the main market here, the United States is a huge market. Is it the main market in the world for cameras? I'd have to look that up, but it's still a big market. Well, then if your market, you can not sell that camera for under $1,000 to make money. You have to sell it for $1,500 or whatever because there's a tariff slapped on it that has to be passed on to the consumer. Nobody's going to buy those cameras for that much money. I shouldn't say nobody. I mean, people buy the Deluxe 8 for that much money. But, it's going to cut down the number of people who are going to want to fork over dough for that kind of a camera, because seriously, if you're up around the $1,500 level to buy a camera, especially if it's going to be your only camera, I can think of a lot better choices than a compact, right? So there's that. Now, if, let's just say Panasonic, Lumix, decides to do this, I have some thoughts on that. First off, before I get into it, if you want a 1-inch sensor super zoom, the FZ2500/2000 is still available brand new. I checked Amazon and B&H today, and they're still available brand new. Are they still being manufactured? I have no idea. Is this new old stock? Maybe. So if you're really interested in an all-in-one solution that has some say the lens isn't that great, other people say there's nothing wrong with the lens. It might have been early on there was some variability. I mean, it's the same thing with the ZS200. Earlier reviews said the lens was soft. Mine is sharp as a tack, just about at any focal length. Let's say they do this. I have some thoughts. First of all, if they do, it seems to me that the LX100 would be the camera, the Mark II, would be the camera to receive the Mark III treatment, because Leica is essentially selling a Mark III, although it's really not that much of an upgrade, if you ask me, but they're selling it for $1,500. So what could they do with this camera? One is, let's update the lens. It's a 2012 lens. Let's update the lens. Let's update the sensor. Put in the 25 megapixel sensor from the G9 and GH7. Let's update the image stabilization, because it's pretty mediocre. And it's definitely, I think, unusable for video. If you try to use the image stabilization while you're shooting video with this thing, you can't walk with this camera and shoot video. It's like, I don't even bother. Be nice to have that. Add E-stabilization. Doesn't even have E-stabilization for video. I mean, yeah, it's a primarily photographic camera, not a video camera. In fact, it's probably outside of Leica, the closest thing you're going to find that's a photo-only camera, you know, because there is no dedicated video mode. So you essentially have to use that little red button to shoot video. Whereas even on this ZS200, also known as the TZ200, there's actually a dedicated video mode, but it also has the little red button, which brings up an interesting point. So if you use the little red button on the ZS200, it shoots in program mode. Okay, you do have a dedicated video mode that lets you select whatever exposure mode you want to use, be it program, manual, shutter, or aperture priority. So you have that on the ZS200. Interestingly, on the LX100 and Mark II, and I suppose the LX100, that little red record button actually uses whatever exposure mode you set the camera to using the dials. So if you set the shutter speed dial to automatic and select an aperture, that video is going to be in aperture priority, which is pretty interesting. And if you set the dials to automatic for the aperture and select your shutter speed, say 1/60th if you're doing the 180 degree shutter rule, it will shoot in shutter priority. If you're going to make this a better video camera, you could put in shutter angles, but I doubt they would do that. So that, to me, makes sense. On the ZS200, that's a nice little camera. I think the lens is fine. I don't know there's much you would need to do. The image stabilization is 5-axis, except if you use 4K. That'd be nice to see him fix that for 4K. And also, and this is true of the LX100 Mark II, built-in ND filters. And of course, the FZ2500/2000 does have built-in ND filters. But Canon has point-and-shoots that have built-in ND filters, compacts. Had a G16, built-in 3-stop ND filter. You know, if you're going to come out with a camera and you're going to charge around $1,000 for it, hey, build the ND filter in. So, especially on a camera that you know, and you look at my videos where I use a little step-up ring to slide over this lens to get a filter in front of it because there's no filter thread, that'd be cool. Or put a filter thread on the lens. That hard to do? I suppose you would have to beef up the zoom mechanism, because I think probably the main concern about filters on a camera like that is the weight of the filter. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this. Again, if I were a betting man, I would bet against us seeing any new compacts, at least from the usual suspects. Canon, Nikon, Sony, Panasonic, Olympus, Fuji. I just don't see them doing it. I think that ship has sailed. Will there be new ones from other companies? Well, the market abhors a vacuum just like nature does, so you never know. It'll be an interesting year. It'll be an interesting year regardless of whether we're talking about photography or other stuff. Anyway, if this was useful to you, hey, hit that like button. That is a big help to me. Also, new subscribers, always welcome. Questions, comments, insights, pop them down below. I'm Todd Banner. I will see you in the next video.